DDOT, and I will hand off to Commissioner Ewart, who is chair of our Transportation Committee, to facilitate the discussion.
Hi there. Thank you everyone for coming. Today we have I believe a brief presentation by Mike Goodnow with DDOT for an update on the 9th Street redesign. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Whenever you're ready, feel free to take it away.
Yeah. Okay. Perhaps I could share my screen then. I was expecting Will to be here to give the presentation, but I have some graphics I could share. Give a quick update here. Let me see here. Share screen and see. Should be able to see this PowerPoint here.
Yep, we can see it.
Let me see, just briefly, this is a little bit outside your ANC. Maybe it'd be better to show this. It's a plan view here. So I was hoping to have a cross-section view. Essentially, I'm working on a project on 9th Street Northwest for protected bike lanes from Pennsylvania Avenue up to Florida Avenue. And as you can see in the drawing here, this is the block between T and U Street, Florida Avenue. So starting at the bottom on the east side, there'd be a two-way protected bike lane, a parking lane, one travel lane instead of two northbound lanes, one southbound lane, and a parking lane. And so that would be the configuration going all the way down to Pennsylvania Avenue. So we're here to talk to you tonight because originally we had expected to transition to a regular bike lane north of U Street and Florida Avenue, which you can see in the drawing here. But we've received some comments to the north part here. There's a reconstruction project, which you're probably aware of, and it's happening right now. T to U Street is dug up, and it could be even further up. I haven't been up there in a little while. But instead of putting in the bike lane, what we would like to do is actually extend the protected bike lane a little bit further. I'm jumping to this drawing. Unfortunately, we don't have a final drawing yet. The consultants are still working on it. So bear with me, it has these red lines in it. But instead of a bike lane, and we point out, north is on the right side of the screen. So this is U Florida again. So you could see this dotted line here. It would continue up, and this is at V Street here in 9th, continuing above that intersection. Oops, moving the lines around. And then continuing up to Vermont Avenue, which you can see here. The bike lane ends right here, and then the bicyclists would transition into regular bike lanes to go further, and that would take them up to SW Street and up to Florida Avenue, Sherman Avenue. So this is a fairly big change from the original design. We wanted to be here tonight to discuss this with you. And so the timing a little bit different. This reconstruction project, they expect to be finished probably next April or May. So that's the project from T Street up to Sherman and Northern Florida Avenue, where the protected bike lane that I'm working on south of U Street, Florida Avenue, actually south of T Street, the reconstruction project will build the T to U section. That won't be happening until at least October of next year, potentially a little bit later. It could be actually November, December, or even the spring of 2023. So I hope these drawings were legible enough. And I see my colleague Will Hansfield joined. And
hey, everyone.
if you wanted to add anything, Will.
Yeah, we had a discussion earlier, Mike and I, about, is would this be more confusing or less? But the big picture is, we found a way with the consultants who were doing the drawings on this to bring the cycle track up to Vermont, and then protected bike lanes going north from there, and then incorporating regular bike lanes that would, you'd be able to cross over into the cycle track at Vermont. So it's a significant, extra distance of cycle track that we're able to incorporate in this project without upsetting the overall project timeline of what they're currently constructing, and making it safer. And I think it'll work. The other thing, and it's probably maybe almost a little too early to bring this up, but we, through our other work on Vermont, we're looking at the volumes, and it looks like you could take a lane out of Vermont and turn it into a protected bike lane pretty without almost any impacts to either parking or the sort of traffic. There's only like 2,000 or 3,000 vehicles per day that use Vermont, which would be very light. I mean, that would be able to be handled on like a very narrow roadway, and you have a 4-lane boulevard that's carrying a small amount of traffic. So it looks like we could probably go all the way down to Logan Circle with something like that, and tie it in here. So when we think about routes and bike network, we're not just talking about like one particular route. We're really trying to knit the city together with all these different interconnected facilities so that you have a protected, high quality bicycling experience, or scooter, or anything else that can fit in the bike lanes. Or, if anyone has a good name for them, like bike lanes doesn't really cover all the things that are using the lanes now. So there's one wheels, all kinds of new micromobility devices, people using them for freight. There's like different freight delivery companies that do small urban delivery using bike lanes. So, we've had a couple of suggestions, but that's really the big picture goal, is we are trying to connect the whole city with a network of these that are really excellent to ride in and safe for everybody. So more to come on that. And then I think there's some other ones in 1B that we've talked about, but just to put that in the context of what the work of our team is doing, and what else might be coming down the pike.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. Commissioners, if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand. Attendees, if you have questions, you can either raise your hand and we can call on you, or you can drop it in the Q&A. Commissioner Farnan, I saw you had your hand up.
Thank you. Yes. And just so folks listening, my SMD is neighboring this area. So the V Street North section of this. So it's 9th V and Florida, which is that intersection that Mike was sharing the screen of. So just to be clear, the biggest change from the original designs that were approved is just the protection of the bike lane and then the extension north, correct?
That's right. There was essentially a gap in the bike lane between when it was originally planned. This plan dates back, I want to say, to like 2014, 15. And
yeah.
They didn't have, when they finished like the 100%, they did not have this two-way bicycle facility in the plans. Their limits are T Street. So we added that. And now we've been able to extend it, because our original, when we scoped we call it the Eastern Downtown, the sort of limits of the 9th Street cycle track at the time were given as Pennsylvania Ave to U Street. So we've now extended the cycle track up to Vermont. So two extra blocks. And then we're adding the bike lanes that were planned as part of this effort. We're adding protection to it. So that's the total. So it's got better connectivity to the rest of the planned facilities, and it's got better protection of the things that were already conceived. So thanks to everybody who brought this up and brought it to our attention, so that we could go back to the engineers and work with them to figure it out.
Great. Yeah. And I know Commissioner Ewert had a huge hand in that, but then also on just how times changed from 2014 to 2021, 2022. So I'm glad you were able to pivot and implement that. So thank you. And then just a last kind of point for folks who may have just tuning into this development that will be completed. There'll be lights and signal lights at this intersection. So if you've ever gone to 930 Club, gone to Andy's Pizza, a personal favorite, walked in that general area, you know that that intersection is just kind of something waiting to happen. So this is a very welcome change and will be finished, as Mike was discussing, late next year and then early the year after that, correct? 2024.
Actually, I had forgotten we're into 2022. So we intend to begin it this fall. At the latest, it would be next spring. That's
Okay,
for the
great.
section south of T Street. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you
Before
so
I
much.
forget, we did want to get some feedback from the commission as well. In the T to U Street block, we've received comments for pickup drop-off zone and loading zone, and also an ADA parking space in the past between S and T. If you have any ideas, please let us know where you think that could be best situated. We're also interested in any interaction you may have had with Shaw Main Streets or the Business Association. We've met with them in July. We're trying to reach out again to them. But would appreciate any feedback on that as well. Thank you.
The point you made about the loading zones, that could be something that we can discuss in a little bit more detail at our transportation committee meeting and at a later date. I can be in touch. I can reach out to you, Mike. I'm the chair of the transportation committee, and we can find a good date to put you on the docket.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
So, Commissioner Luth.
Yes, good afternoon. How are you all doing? I was wondering if there would be anything like any community benefit funds for programs and stuff in the community that can be provided with this program and anything, the events that's going on, because a lot of stuff that goes on in the community that, need funding that's not being funded, in the community. So I was figuring that, is there any community benefit funds that will be attached to this for seniors, disabled, veterans, and ADA appliance? Because you're right on Sherman Avenue near Garfield Terrace, the senior citizen and disabled building and veterans. So is there anything in that?
Nothing is specifically attached to this project, but we have, the district is pretty well funded as things go. And if I don't know if the Moker from Ward 1 is on this call, but I think, Anthony Moore, I see you there. So it's usually it's we try to pair, if there's a specific need, we try to match it to an existing city program. So maybe you and Mr. Moore can be in touch about some of the, because there's often already existing programs to set up to do certain things, whether it be for senior services, whether it be for other community services. So it's not common for DDOT projects to have community relations funds. It's more common for developer built like housing and real estate projects to have those. But this is the district's money. So we already support the community with all these different things. So that's why I'm trying to match you with the right one. So if you can maybe work with Anthony to express the specific need, he can try to match what we have in
Yes, Commissioner, we can speak offline maybe tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Bena.
Yeah, just a quick question. So, first, very much appreciate extending the protected bike lane. That's somewhere that I bike a lot, and it's definitely going to be beneficial. My other question is more long-term. As you're thinking about connecting the entire city via, protected bike lane networks. One thing that came to my mind as I was cycling this week was I was unable to use some of the protected bike lanes with the snow. So are there talks with DPW to, I know that I've seen, I don't know if there are little bike lane size snowplows that the district has, if that's in the long-term plans, but just trying to think about that, especially as you noted that it's not just bikes using the bike lanes, there are other, vehicles using it.
You're talking to the right team. So George and Mike and I have all been out this week plowing bike lanes and bike facilities. So a lot depends on the character of the snowfall. Let's put that out there first. So depending on what's happening, the extent of what's happening, how heavy the snow is, it makes a difference. But we were out Monday with light plows in the two-way cycle tracks. That was kind of our first run. So, we got them mostly clear. Intersections are a little harder because we often have like flex posts or something else in the way. And then just today, Mike was out with a smaller plow for the protected bike lanes, which the light plow is basically an F-250 with a plow on it. And so we have to use a different piece of equipment. Mike's putting up the picture. So that's our toolcat. And Mike is an operator of it, and my colleague Michael and I've been trained on it, and George supervised the whole team. So there's quite an apparatus, and we try to get out, as soon as we can. We also have support from DPW to get these things, and we're always improving. So it's not perfect yet, but yes, we've conceived of it, and we have other equipment that hopefully can be used for clearing sidewalks in the future, especially like bridge side paths. I don't know that there are any in 1B, but that's a common issue, is like the bridges get cleared kind of last, but we have new equipment coming online for those types of things.
Fantastic. Thanks so much.
Say anything.
Yeah, if I could just jump in here, this is George Brannion, manage the team, and Mike and Will are key members of our bike lane program. We are not only looking at probably another. It looks like we just took delivery of 2 of those toolcats, which is really good for coming into snow season, because again, the protected bike lanes that are on each side of the street typically are too narrow for a pickup truck. So we can get the pickup truck down the two-way cycle tracks, usually, not every one of them, a couple that are really tight, but so we're trying to beef up as we try to meet the mayor's goal of constructing significantly more protected bike lanes. We have to not only have snow clearing, both a process and a SOP and the equipment, but we also we're working on a new maintenance program, because there's lots of flex posts and wheel stops and paint and other equipment items that get beat up and taken out, and we need a better way. We used to use our field operations branch to go out and fix those things, but the need is growing beyond the ability to do that. So we're working on a new maintenance program as well. And continuing to talk to DPW about some of the sweeping, the leaves and sticks that get built up in some of them more than others, about helping them increase their capacity through helping them with some equipment funds. So we're working on many fronts to not just build them, but to maintain them.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. Patrick, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, just a quick question for follow-up from Amanda to verify, and the team to verify that, in fact, we have negotiated to have 9th Street become a one-way street in one direction going towards the 930 Club. That's been something that I personally have worked with Amanda through the team to get, and I just want to confirm that it is in fact going to be a permanent part of the fixture.
I think Will, we discussed this, or I discussed with someone who's in the construction team who confirmed with DDOT that it is in fact a one-way southbound. I have emails, but I'm not sure if folks are on.
Yeah, I remember this being part of our discussion, like the intersection dynamics at 9th.
Yes.
The 9th and V and
that back
come together in Florida, all kind of come together at the same spot, and it made it significantly easier for us to figure out how to address the intersection by knowing that it was one way. So I'll check back with the sort of big construction team, because we're mostly focused on the bike facility that we were adding, but I think, yeah, they may have some alterations to fix that pattern in place. George, is that what you recall from some of those meetings? You're on mute, I think, George.
Of course, muted, sorry. I'm not remembering off the top of my head. I was looking for the plans that we've been working on lately to see if it has any indication of the one-way. And that would be a one-way southbound flow? Is that what I heard?
One-way south, yeah, so from
Barry to
Sherman, but
Very south.
around the Whole Foods down towards the 930 Club.
Okay. We'll check on that.
Just to also to confirm, that they make sure that they put up proper signage, because we've had to do makeshift signage at this point, but it needs to be permanent so that people know, because I walk down there quite a bit myself, and there's still issues with people coming out of the Whole Foods and going the wrong direction, and then we have two cars sitting there trying to decide who goes which way. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just seeing it was Sam with RKK. If you all want to follow up with him on the team, that'd be great.
Thank you, Patrick. Any other commissioners have any questions? I have one question. It's kind of also like big picture, long term. As a cyclist, I like the biggest issue for me riding around the city is always those east-west connections. I feel like our north-south connections are strong, especially in ANC 1B. We have 15th Street, 9th Street's coming down the pipeline. Like we're getting the bus only lane on 14th and 16th that will help support that a little bit as well. But those east-west connections are still, I feel, struggling. How I guess, like, what's the like the long-term vision for like how like this will kind of finish at like Vermont, and then like how will people be able to move east and west to the adjacent bike lanes for like a smooth connected travel throughout the city?
So the east-west we have right now, we have B, W, T, R, and Q kind of in this vicinity. And I think that those all pass through 1B. Now, all of those, they basically occupy with the bike lanes that are there currently in the one-way roadway. It occupies all the right-of-way if you include the parking. So to change it, you would have to like any protected bike lane takes more real estate than what you have without affecting parking. So purely hypothetically, here's how you would do it. So like you could choose to reverse the bike lanes on R and Q Street into contraflow bike lanes, and then add a sharrow in the primary direction of travel. So they flip from one side to the other. You go in the other. So each one of them becomes a two-way bike facility, or you could do the same thing with W and B. Or T. You could also choose to take all the parking off one side of one of those streets and make it into like a two-way cycle track, similar to 15th or 19th, but it would require 100% of the parking on one side to go away. And that's pretty much true if no matter what kind of protected bike lane on any of those east-west, because they're all like 30-foot wide streets that are one way already. So there's not like, sometimes we will entertain, if it's a two-way street, sometimes we'll entertain turning it into a one-way street to add the protected bike lane component. But in this case, they're fairly tight. So that's the kind of big trade-offs that we would be looking to do to change them from regular bike lanes to protected bike lanes. So just so you can get the wheels turning, if those kind of trade-offs are ones you want to talk about. Usually if we come with those kind of proposals, we get a lot of pushback. So we try to make it make the juice worth the squeeze. So we work on like really big, long distance cycle tracks if we're gonna make those trade-offs. But yeah, if there's an obvious one that you want to work on, I think R Street goes the furthest, just in the absolute. R and Q Street both go a bit further across town. Kind of all the way to the Metro Branch Trail.
Yeah.
So essentially from Metro Branch Trail to Rock Creek Trail, and even into Georgetown with either of those streets. So those are attractive targets. M Street is another one that, adding distance to it on the western side and adding continuity on the eastern side of it could probably help. But it's a little south of you guys. So that's kind of the things that we could talk about. And you can take a look at our Move DC bicycle plan, and it shows you what we envision, in the next 10 years to be protected bike lanes. And I think all of those are on it. So maybe not T and V and W, but I think Q and R are on there. So that's the long-term vision. Right now, we're trying to add bike lanes where they're like completely missing, kind of prior to upgrading the ones that are already there to a more protected. Though we've done some of those. I think 4th Street Southwest is a good example where we upgraded existing bike lanes to ones that are protected. That had a lot of width, like extra width to deal with. So anyways, that's kind of the frontier we'll cross sometime in the next decade or so.
Awesome. Thank you for that, and thank you for both working on it and advocating for the bike lanes. I know I appreciate them, and many others do too. I don't see any attendees with their hands raised or any questions in the Q&A. So I guess speak now. And if not, I think we're good to go. And thank you all so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner, for facilitating this session.
Thank you.
As well. I'll call our ANC 1B monthly meeting to order. It's January 6, 2022. It's an interesting day that we're having our annual organization meeting on the 1-year anniversary of a very tragic and disappointing time with our country, and one that I hope that we will recover from and learn to work together. With our ANC on a much small level, there are many times when commissioners disagree, different neighborhoods disagree on topics, but we find a way to come together and work through the issues. Not everyone's happy each time, but there's not a point where it gets outrageous. We find that by working together and discussing disagreements that we actually improve our community. So thank you to each and every one of you of being such strong leaders and helping improve our neighborhood and the district as a whole. Administratively, if you'd like to make a comment, ask a question, you can come off mute, raise your hand, and be called upon. If you'd like to make an announcement, please raise your hand or let Commissioner Harris know, and we will hold that to the end during community announcements. Madam Secretary, if you'll call the roll.
Yes, Commissioner Handerhan,
Present.
Commissioner Orlowski,
Present.
Commissioner Umar,
Present.
Commissioner Thomas, Commissioner Sanchez, Commissioner Floyd,
Present.
Commissioner Ewart,
Present.
Commissioner Bana,
Present.
Commissioner Turner,
Present.
Commissioner Farnan,
Present.
Commissioner Harris, present. There's a quorum of 9 of 11.
Thank you. We have a quorum present. Commissioners, you have an agenda before you. The agenda also includes the consent agenda with 2 items of the draft December minutes and a Friends of Harrison support for reinstatement of their Friends of Park designation. Is there a motion to approve the agenda and the consent agenda?
I move to approve the agenda and consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. Abstention. The agenda is approved. Thank you. Advocate reports, short-term family housing, Commissioner Floyd.
No report.
Committee on Education, Commissioner Sanchez is not with us this evening. Public Safety and Community Engagement, Commissioner Farnan.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Chair Turner. We did not have someone from MPD who could join tonight, but we will be having a public safety meeting in February. I'm not sure if anyone has joined to ask specific questions of MPD, but if you do have those, I'm in touch with Lieutenant Markowitz and others where I can get questions in an email and then long responses back. So please let me know. You can also send me an email and I'll put my email in the chat. Just as a recap to December, the Public Safety and Community Engagement Committee was pretty busy with events. So we were working hand in hand with Commissioner Handerhan, who's on here with 1B01 in the LaDroit Park and Kelly Miller community. On December 7th, we had a holiday market and coat drive for that community, specifically serving folks who were in the DCHA properties. So many kids, so many adults came out. There was someone who set up, who was a resident of that area, giving out free cell phones and helping folks set up their phones and get the communication and the phone numbers that they needed. So that was just a wonderful highlight to see. That only came about because we had a date planned and they heard about it. December 16th, we had a holiday giveaway and vaccine event. This was hosted in ANC 1A, but I worked on this event in partnership with DC Health, our Ward 1 State Board of Education rep, and our council member, Nadeau. We vaccinated over 83 folks. So this was a pop-up event that DC Health has been doing through the vaccine exchange program. Thought it was a really great success, just getting people off the street who were walking by wondering what was going on. And then also folks who perhaps didn't have time to go anywhere outside of their neighborhood to get vaccinated, we were able to reach them where they were. So exploring more ways to do that in the new year as well. And then finally, on December 17th, we had a Uniting Our Youth job fair, also serving LaDroit Park and Kelly Miller. I attended, and ANC 1B was a proud sponsor of that event, just discussing opportunities to work with ANC 1B, but then also supporting other job opportunities that were being offered on the spot through collaborative solutions for communities and other groups like that. Finally, our next meeting will be in February 22. We have not set a date yet, but we will properly notice and announce that date. Likely we will be in person and then have a hybrid option. We hosted a it was an early December meeting that was hybrid and went really well, discussed community engagement events with MPD's outreach team, and they're looking forward to working with us more in the new year as well. And thank you, Sable, for putting Lieutenant Markowitz's email in there as well. All right, thank you all. That's all from me.
Thank you. Zoning Preservation and Development, Mr. Nelson.
Good evening, folks. Tonight, there are two items that you need to vote on from the December 20th meeting. First item, excuse me, is 1301 Florida Avenue Northwest. This is the item that came before the commission at the last meeting. It is a request for a use variance to convert the existing dry cleaning use service now to a retail convenience store at that location. Prior request was for the tobacco store, and that was opposed at this meeting, or this commission and the committee. So he has subsequently made a change to respond to the commission's request to put in the retail store. So the committee has recommended that the ANC support the change for the use variance.
And this is in
1B04, Deborah Thomas's.
Okay.
He is in support of this. She attended the meeting, the PD meeting.
Commissioner Boehner, you are abutting this and had some questions last time. Is there, would you like to make a motion now that it's been updated?
One moment, let me look at the agenda so I have the words right. Okay, so I make a motion that the full ANC support the change of use variance to convert an existing pickup dry cleaning service to use a retail convenience store, an existing semi-detached 3-story plus basement mixed-use building at 1301 Florida Avenue Northwest in the RA2 zone.
Is there a second?
Sable.
We have a second. Discussion. This was discussed quite a bit last meeting. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Abstentions. Motion passes. Thank you. Next item.
Okay, so the next item is for property at 1813 Vermont Avenue Northwest. It's in an RF1 zone. It's in 1B02 Dan Oleski's SMD. This is a BZA case. They are requesting special exceptions from side yard requirements, rear yard requirements, to construct a partial second story to an existing semi-detached 2-story with basement, converting it to a 2-unit dwelling. The committee is recommending that the ANC support the request for the special exceptions for side yard and rear yard.
Thank you. Are there any community comments on this project?
None that I'm seeing right now.
Commissioner Orlowski.
I don't have any additional comments. I can go ahead and make the motion now, so if we don't have any. Okay. I will move that the full ANC supports the request for special exceptions for the side yard requirements of subtitle E, section 207.2, subtitle E 207.3, the rear yard requirements of subtitle E 306.1, pursuant to subtitle E, section 201, subtitle X, section 901.2, to construct a partial second story to an existing semi-detached 2-story with basement converting to a 2-unit dwelling at 1813 Vermont Avenue.
Is there a second? Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Discussion, commissioners? All those in favor, aye? Opposed, nay? Abstention? Motion passes. Thank you. Next item.
That concludes the items on the agenda for ZPD this month.
Thank you. Economic Development, Commissioner Handerhan.
Thank you, Chair Turner. Good evening, everyone. Good to see you and happy 2022. Want to start off by passing on. So, we start our section usually with giving Main Street, Queen Street folks an opportunity to weigh in. I don't see anyone here, but I do have a report out from Shaw Main Street on just 2 items. The first is that there is a mid-city planned development at 1707 8th Street Northwest. It's between R and S at what's called Heritage at Shaw Station. They're doing community engagement this evening, and I could drop the link into the chat. There are 3 presentations, and if folks are interested in hearing from them, they'll be recorded and we can share out later. This is a PUD site, so a planned unit development, which means kind of going to Commissioner Luther's question earlier in the evening. This is something that we have the responsibility as a community to ask for what we want as part of the development at that site. I've not heard any concerns. It's on the very edge of 1B01 and 1B02, like literally at the intersection where it goes to an entirely different ward, but wanted to make sure people were aware of that project because it does impact the broader eastern part of our ANC. The second thing that I would like to update.
Larry, is that in Ward 2?
It is. The second thing, just a project working on with Shaw Main Street is to make sure that we have a plan for the CVS site at 7th and Florida, which the tenant vacated last month. I want to thank Howard University, who owns the property, and Jill Leonard, who's on the line, for very quickly getting a fence up around the parking lot, pretty much within hours of the tenant vacating the site, despite some communication challenges. So thank you. I think that is really helpful as we think about what we can do with that site. There's a couple ongoing discussions. I'm going to drop my email in the chat, but until a permanent development plan is in place there, we are hoping to have some sort of pop-up and the exterior and interior to activate that space and make sure it is being used by a community, and also keeping it fenced off when it's not being used so that that area is safe. As far as the Economic Development Committee itself, we are excited about this next year and looking for new members, especially from 1B05, 1B06, 1B07, 1B08, and 1B09. We don't have any representation there. I heard from a few folks after last meeting and hoping that people can send me a note if they're interested. Happy to talk more about the work we do and what you might be able to partake in if you join. Everyone is welcome to our next meeting on January 20th at 6:30. We will be meeting the third Thursday of the month for the calendar year, unless otherwise noted. Thanks everyone so much.
Thanks, Commissioner. When properties are in a different ward or a different ANC, while we have abutting rights to comment and work on things, we try to work with those instead of inserting ourselves too much. That's just an agreement that we have with our abutting ANCs so that we work more together, but we respect the ANC of jurisdiction in what they want to accomplish.
Sure. The single member district commissioner of that site reached out to Commissioner Olasky and I and asked us to advertise tonight. So it's a great point, and definitely hear you and agree.
The Reeves best and final proposals are still being evaluated and worked. While we had hoped that the best and final would be out, it could be months now before those get reissued due to some evaluations and concerns between the two proposals. So more to come on that. But we are anxious to get to a selection and move on that property redevelopment. Transportation, Commissioner York.
Thank you. At our last meeting, it was a fairly straightforward meeting. We only had one topic for discussion, and that was what to do with, or what should our recommendation be as an ANC for the $1.7 million in funds that have been dedicated to streetscape improvements along U Street between 14th and 18th Street Northwest. Similarly, this project that's coming down the line, it's not anticipated until fiscal year 23. This project is multi-ANC, multi-ward, and I've been working with our neighboring ANC commissioners to just make sure that we're working together on this to develop a resolution that helps to recommend a safe U Street for everyone. At our last meeting, we identified several different observations, problems, and then potential solutions, some of which include that there's not many street trees. There are 2 future redevelopments coming down the line. Some problems that we identified include that there's not enough space for people with mobility aids. There are various street signs, trees, and other furniture that can kind of get in the way in certain parts. There's a lot of bad and outdated wayfinding signs, and some of the public transportation bus shelters are non-existent. These are just kind of the types of things that we're thinking about in the transportation committee. And I plan to work together with our neighboring ANCs to put together some sort of resolution that'll come forward at either the February or March meeting. Still want to talk to a few more people. I want to talk with some of the business owners who are on U Street, make sure that everyone's voices are being heard and everything's being taken into consideration. If anyone has any interests or thoughts on this stretch of U Street between 14th and 18th, feel free to reach out. 1b07@anc.dc.gov. Always happy to hear people's thoughts on this. Our next meeting for the Transportation Committee is going to be next week on Wednesday, January 12th. We meet on the second Wednesday of the month, and feel free to come by. Thank you.
Thank you. ABR Commissioner Bana.
Hi there. The ABR committee, we met last month like we normally do on the third Wednesday of the month. And we have one item that needs full ANC action. So that is on Exum Restaurant, which is at 1934 9th Street Northwest in 1B02, Commissioner Orlasky's district. It's a retailer's Class C restaurant license. The committee recommended that the full ANC protest the application, not because the committee was, didn't approve of the business being there, but mostly just so that we could keep our standing and negotiate a settlement agreement, as the ABR committee has taken this approach with, pretty much every new licensee after, because we've had so many after, new ones opening up, that we've pursued these settlement agreements with at least a dozen or more establishments. So this is no different. And we are looking forward to everyone on the committee was looking forward to the restaurant. It's owned by, it's going to be traditional Ethiopian food, owned by a very nice couple, very nice family-owned restaurant. So Commissioner Orlasky, do you have anything else to say on that? Have you had any conversations with them since the committee meeting?
Yeah, I sent them our template settlement agreement, community agreement, and just waiting to get a response. But they also were very open to having a community agreement. I see no real reason to be concerned. Just with the holidays and everything, we didn't get it done before the meeting. So I am very confident that we will get it done before we actually have to go to a hearing or anything. So the vote tonight is just so that we don't lose our standing. It's just procedural, and it's just a matter of how the calendar worked out, really. Normally, and I'm sure Commissioner Boehner knows this very well, that we try to get these things done before we get to the ABR committee meeting, before their date, their hearing date. Just didn't work out this time. So expect to have it done very soon, and then we can drop the protest.
Great. So did you want to make the motion?
Sure. I move that the ANC vote to protest the application for Axum Restaurant, 1934 9th Street, on the grounds of peace, order, quiet, and all applicable grounds.
Is there a second? Discussion, quick question. Is this a CR or a CT?
The
CR.
CR. That's very good. It's good to see that we're getting some CRs back, which are more full service restaurants on the corridor. All those in favor, aye. Opposed, nay.
Aye.
Abstentions? One abstention. Thank you. Motion passes.
Great. So that was the only item on the agenda. Our next meeting is Wednesday, January 19th at 7 p.m. Looks like we will have at least one or two new licensees on the agenda to discuss. So thank you. That's all I have.
And thank you. I understand that there have been some lengthy and challenging protest hearings that you have led for us that have taken up a lot of time and energy. And thank you for working with communities in the groups of 5 to come to common resolutions on these agreements. Thank you for that.
Definitely. And we are just gearing up for the renewal season later this year, where every single bar / restaurant that holds a liquor license on U Street will renew on nearly the same time. So
Commissioner
and-
Orlowski is jumping for joy that he's not chair of ABR.
And on that note, actually, to the community, you can assist us if you go to our webpage, the committee webpage on anc1b.org. We have a feedback form that allows you to give feedback, either compliments or maybe concerns with an establishment in your area. And we're trying to compile that feedback well in advance of the renewal so that when we have dozens and dozens of establishments up for renewal, we can sort of prioritize and focus on the ones that we need to get settlement agreements with, the ones that have, caused some, noise or some contention in the community. So encourage you to go onto our webpage and use that feedback form so that we have that information early next year. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll now go to the administrative section, which is part of our annual meeting. It's a very scripted, a certain number of things that we have to cover and get approval during this time. First is the election of officers for 2022. We can do it by a slate of people. Or by individual office. I believe that there is a slate to be proposed, but before we do a proposal, is there anyone, or the slate, is there anyone who wishes to make a nomination for individual office that may not be part of the slate? Okay, for the slate of officers, is there a commissioner to make a motion? Commissioner Orlowski.
Yes, Chair Turner, I'd like to make a motion for a slate of candidates for the following offices. Chair, Commissioner James Turner from 1B09. Vice Chair, Commissioner Dan Orlowski from 1B02. Secretary, Commissioner Sable Harris from 1B12. And Treasurer, Commissioner Amanda Farnan from 1B11.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there discussion?
If I could just say a quick thing, Chair. A lot of us are new, and this is we're wrapping up, year one on this commission, and I think we have a really deep appreciation for how much work these jobs are without taking on extra responsibilities like the executive committee does. So I just want to thank the 4 members who stepped up and will continue to serve in this way. And I'm really confident in their leadership and really look forward to working with them this coming year.
Thank you. And that's true of the committee chairs and every commissioner here. We do share the load and work together. So thanks for everyone. All those in favor of the slate? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 1 abstention. Committee chairs and advocates. Commissioner Orlowski.
I would like to move that, I'm just going to take it one committee at a time. I would like to move that as chair of the Transportation Committee that we nominate Commissioner Max Ewert from 1B07.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Don't I have to accept?
No.
No.
No option to say no.
It's much like a draft.
I was going to say, I want that option.
I accept the nomination. Thank you.
All right, then I'm going to save Commissioner Boehner for last. Economic Development, I would like to nominate Commissioner Larry Handrahan.
Is there a second?
Second.
Unless he doesn't want to do it.
I accept.
He's nodding yes. All those in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions? Thank you.
All right, for the Alcoholic Beverage Regulation Committee, I would like to nominate Commissioner Boehner, whether he likes it or not.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor, aye. Nay. Abstention. One abstention.
I was kidding about that. You can, you know. Okay, so for the Zoning Preservation and Development Committee, I would like to nominate, I'm a little confused about this one. Do I nominate Patrick, who is the current
Patrick,
chair? Because we also have an ANC chair too. So let's
right,
start
you
with
do both.
I nominate Patrick Nelson.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, aye.
Oh, ho, no discussion here?
No.
Move
Abstention?
along, move along.
Absolutely not.
Abstention?
Thank you, Patrick. If there's a discussion on who
We need you
is,
to watch, Patrick. We can't have you.
yeah, who's serving the most in their chair role, we know it's you. So thank you again.
Well, I just wanted to make a comment to the committee since none of you were at it. There was an incident that happened at a ZPD meeting in October that pushed me over the edge. And I literally made a public announcement that I was resigning off of the seat effective December 31st. Subsequent to that, I've had ANC commissioners on this commission beg me to stay on. I've had members of my committee also beg me to stay on. And I've had a couple of conversations with Chair Turner and am willing to take on this duty for another year on the, what is the word, auspices of the fact that the ANC is being redistricted this year. So all you guys will be up for election next year if you're still in a commission, wherever it may be. And that will be a good time for me to step aside since the ANC 1B will be a totally different commission in 2023. So I will accept your nomination for another year.
Were there any no votes or abstentions? One abstention.
Abstention.
Next item.
So for the ZPD ANC chair, I am going to nominate Commissioner Max Ewert.
I accept.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I think this is good with your experience and it does kind of bridge with transportation. All those in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions? One abstention. Thank you.
Should I talk about committees now or?
Let's do the advocate, and the advocate would be for short-term family housing. It'd be Commissioner Floyd.
And the Public Safety Community Engagement Committee.
Oh, Jesus, sorry.
Let's do public safety and then get to short-term family housing.
I knew I always leave one committee out. I apologize. So for the Public Safety Community Engagement Committee, I would like to nominate Commissioner Park.
Is there a second? Discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. Abstention? Motion passes. Thank you. Short-term family housing, Commissioner Floyd, will you continue in that role?
I decline.
Decline? We will then work on, we have two advocate positions. We'll fill those in February. Commissioner Baina, you will still continue as the other representative.
Okay.
Now on to your committee announcements.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to point out a few things that have been kind of in the works now for a while. I wanted to remind the committee chairs, whether existing or new, that we did have updated, standard operating procedures that we put in place last July. We haven't been really enforcing them because of the pandemic and also all sorts of other issues. But I want to make it clear that new committee chairs should be making sure that their committee members are either first up to date with their membership. According to our standard operating procedures, committee members need to be sworn in every year. They have a year term, and it's important that each committee chair keep track of their committee members and when their terms are up. Another change to the bylaws was that committee members can only serve on 2 committees as voting members. That does not mean a community member cannot participate in a committee. They can only be voting members in 2 committees, but are encouraged and strongly encouraged to participate in as many committees as they want as community members. So to that end, please make sure you direct all of your committee members at your next meeting to our bylaws and our standard operating procedures, which are on our website, and just make sure they have that information, have had a chance to review it. I think that's it. Did I leave anything out?
Just to add to that, it's important that we have as much representation of our areas as possible at each SMD. We're having trouble filling across the SMDs on some of the committees, and it just takes away if one person from one SMD is on every committee and making it difficult to expand our representation and participation, as we need to get more people involved to be better represent the equity and inclusion of our very rich ANC neighborhoods.
Thanks, Chair. I guess if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask.
I have a quick question. So I'm assuming this this rule extends to commissioners as well. So then I would be limited to just the Transportation Committee and Zoning and ZPD Committee, as far as like having a place on those committees, correct?
As far as having a voting membership,
Voting, yeah.
You are again, like anyone else, you're encouraged to go to any commission meeting and participate in that meeting. Just with them. But as a commissioner, you have a vote in literally everything because it comes to the ANC.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure and clarify that.
Because there's a vote. Yeah, the committee comes to us, the recommendation, and we vote on it then. So it's better to have more community participation than commissioner-heavy committees. When your opinion for projects that impact your area certainly heard at the committees. The approval of the resolution to participate in the ANC Security Fund, approve the $25 fee, and approve the statements of information and new bank signature card with the 4 officers as elected. Is there a motion to do that in bulk?
Motion to move in bulk.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor, aye. Opposed? Abstentions? 1 abstention. Approval of the 2022 meeting calendar. We meet on the first Thursday of each month unless it's a holiday week, and then we meet on the second Thursday of that month. Is there a motion to approve our calendar?
Move to approve the 2022 calendar.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor, aye. Opposed? Abstentions? 1 abstention. In terms of the OANC, you may have seen that Gottlieb Simon has retired after being the founder, the first executive director, and has led the OANC for 20-some years, and has really helped shape and move them forward by encouraging more community participation, helping learn organized meetings, the purpose of ANCs, and learn the procedures and the regulations and how to work with the council and the executive. I think we owe him a great debt to his service and to getting the ANCs where they are today, and we wish him the best in his next endeavor. One of the projects that Gottlieb started was the diversity, equity, inclusion training for all commissioners. While it is optional, I've had discussion with the OANC that we can extend to ANC 1B and our committees to go through this training to ensure that we're culturally aware and sensitive to our community, our concerns, and making sure that people feel comfortable in the community. And last item is that we have 2 vacancies. 1B10 is vacant and has been re-advertised. And Commissioner Sanchez has resigned effective tomorrow from 1B05. Her job commitments has her out of country quite a bit, and she just feels that she can't fill the role now. So that vacancy will be advertised to be filled.
I did just want to say a quick thing about Commissioner Sanchez, if that's okay.
Sure.
Great. And as the incoming treasurer, filling what role Commissioner Sanchez held for the last few months or almost a year now, it's been, I think that while she's not here, I did want to acknowledge her hard work and dedication to this commission. I had the honor and privilege of speaking with Tori multiple times around the neighborhood, meeting to pick up checks, doing all of these things that all stemmed from our meeting with ANC 1B. So I just feel very privileged to have crossed paths with her. And for those who don't know, she does very difficult work for the safety of our nation. And that is not taken lightly. So I'm glad she's able to prioritize certain things right now. And we wish her the very best. So thank you.
Also, kudos to her for serving on that citywide education committee task force, because
Yes.
that's super important. And hopefully one of us will have the bandwidth to sit in on that as well.
Any other comments for administration? We'll now go to announcements. Office of the Mayor, Mr. Moore.
Happy New Year. Thank you for allowing me to do my updates. Okay, I just want to go over a couple of things. The cold weather emergency is activated tonight. So if you know any individuals that might need shelter, they can please call this hotline number, 202-399-7093 or 311. If anyone is seeking shelter, or if you identified any homeless individuals that might want to seek shelter for tonight or maybe tomorrow due to the snowstorm that's coming. If you need daily COVID-19 indicators information, please visit coronavirus.dc.gov for daily updates. Any information on rapid testing sites or COVID, the numbers on the daily numbers that's outputted by DOH. Okay, if you missed the mayor's situation awareness update, you can visit the mayor's Twitter account, Mayor Bowser Twitter account, to get a replay of the situational awareness update. And then that should be daily, if I'm not mistaken. Again, because today is January the 6th, if you see something or you have individuals in your neighborhood or some of your neighbors in your SMDs, please voice this, see something, say something. and dial 911 if you see something that's out of place or something that's strange within your SMD on your daily walks to work or to store or to a friend's or family house. Please call 911. DPW for trash removal. If it's been a full day after your normal pickup and your trash has not been picked up as of yet, please dial 311 and submit a service request for your trash to be picked up. Okay, Metro is due to operate on moderate snow service on Friday, January 7th, due to the snow as well. Can you please share that with neighbors? Rapid test pickup sites and location. Those are in Ward 1 and close to Ward 1, the Mount Pleasant Library, Petworth Library, and the Shaw Library between 12 p.m. and 8 p.m. Tomorrow, January 7th, that might change, but those hours will stay the same from my understanding next week, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Okay, if you know anybody, any neighbors or any individuals that want to volunteer for Serve DC for the snow team, they can visit servedc.gov to sign up, become a volunteer. That's very helpful for individuals such as seniors or handicapped individuals in your SMDs. DCPS Safe Return. If you want more information on any individuals in your SMDs that need information on DCPS Safe Returns for students and teachers, please visit dcps.dc.gov/safe return, and you will be able to get more information. In Commissioner Hanahan's SMD, myself and DBH, DCRA, and Shaw Main Street, we did a canvas on December 22nd regarding the Dunbar Apartments. They have a rear exit that has been used as a public restroom. So they wanted to meet with DCRA to see what can they come up with a door that will fit the regulations for DDOT, that won't swing out into the alley, that will swing more back into the vestibule of the exit. So it will not allow individuals to go have access to that exit door.
And Anthony, just in case people don't know the Dunbar, you're talking about the property at the corner of 7th and T,
yes.
Kind of adjacent to the alley with KISS.
Yes, and where the Wells Fargo is located. Thank you, Commissioner. Also, myself and DCRA and Shaw Main Streets, we discussed the KISS Lounge site, which is now up for sale. I got your email, Commissioner, about the rear having access to the building today, and I'm going to reach out to DCRA regarding that.
Thank you so much.
DH, for the encampments. They have been reaching out to the two encampments on 7th and T Street as well, trying to persuade them to take advantage of the pathway housing program through DHS. That outreach has, from my understanding, has been weekly, along with DBH for those two individuals, adult males, at the two separate encampment sites. Also, Commissioner, the three encampments on Vermont and V Street Northwest have been on their radar, and they have been engaged with those individuals as well.
That's the Vermont and V Street?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Anthony, thanks for coordinating that outreach. It's very much appreciated and really important.
Oh, no problem. Also, Shaw Main Streets have kind of, with DCRA, have came up with an agreement to help with boarding up the KISS Lounge if the owner won't be responsive to removing the outside patio, which is allowing individuals to use the restroom and to use illegal drugs within that outside patio. So to try to board that up and so individuals will have access to that. That will be great, and they're working on that with DCRA, with the owner, and with Shaw Main Streets.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Also, 1123 Fairmont Street has been a topic of conversation with the with trash being disposed not in the proper fashion. So the Ward 1 DPW investigator, Justin Inga, has submitted some fines for the owner of 1123 Fairmont Street. And also a neighbor reached out to see if we can get DPW maybe to donate some larger trash cans to be more suitable for that family. It seems like it might be a little bit more individuals, maybe due to the COVID or family members that's living and occupying that unit, because they are just disposing more trash than the average household. So we're going to try to see if the owner will purchase trash cans, or see if we can find a remedy with getting trash cans donated to relieve the rodent problem and the trash being dispersed throughout the alley as well. And that's it. Oh, also to put on the radar that the vaccination requirements for businesses will start January the 15th. That's for one shot until February the 14th, or February the 14th. You will have to have 2 shots to have access into some of the business establishments. And to get a list of those establishments, you can visit DOH website or DMPID website to get a list of those establishments that will need that vaccination, proof of vaccination, to have access.
Anthony, what is proof? If you don't have the card, is it a picture?
You can have a picture
or the CDC CR code, which I don't think the people at the door are probably going to want to read a CR code.
Yeah, hopefully if we can have some of the businesses that train their individuals on what's needed for have access into their establishment, but they can have the card, and they also can show proof via email or the code that you're speaking of as well on their phone. But I don't know how much training that DOH is providing for the workforce in some of those establishments, but hopefully I guess with experience from the last year, which it wasn't a requirement, but to have some type of experience on, noticing what is a valid card, a vaccination card, to have access. So hopefully that goes smoothly and it won't hinder any of the businesses to have patrons attend their businesses or attend any services that they might provide to the community.
If you could carry back a message, that it'd be really great if Dr. Nesbitt could come up with a common system that everyone could use that would, I think we have the vaccine database.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
So,
will do.
So I would just add, so there's what's called the My IR portal, which it's linked to it on DOH's website.
Mm-hmm.
If you've lost your card, you don't have a picture anymore, you can go in there, put in your information. If you were vaccinated in DC, I think you can also probably link up to Maryland or Virginia, but if you're vaccinated in DC, you go in there, it's a DOH, watermarked PDF saying all your vaccination dates, and you can save that to your phone. Also, as chair of the ABR committee and someone who goes to bars frequently, several of the bars who did voluntarily choose to be vaccinations only were already implementing this, and in my experience there were no problems. I think that our establishments are able to figure it out, but the My IR portal, if you need to get a PDF from DOH.
Yeah, and I think we should, I'm a flag to leadership to have more signage with that information posted throughout the neighborhoods, or especially throughout the city, so individuals can have knowledge of that portal.
Commissioner Harris?
Actually, I think Commissioner Ewart was before me.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Commissioner Harris. Really quick question, Anthony. Thanks for your time. Regarding the buses on January 11th, are these? I understand that service is being cut back. Is this because of anticipated and continuing snow, is this related to the pandemic? I know initially the reasoning behind it was related to the pandemic and increased case rate. But I just wanted to confirm that.
It's
Thought I heard.
it's January the 7th. It's for tomorrow.
Oh, it's for tomorrow. Okay.
Yes, yes, for snow.
But
And
Metro announced that starting Monday the 10th,
Mhm.
they were going to be doing a Saturday schedule every weekday because of pandemic impacts to staffing and things like that. Is that still the case?
I will have to follow up with our Metro liaison to get more information.
yeah, if you could do that and follow up with us, that would be great. I
No
appreciate that.
problem. I also wanted to note that in Commissioner Harris, SMD, we did an outreach with DBH on December the 30th to engage individuals who might be dealing with substance abuse on the 14th and U corridor. We went all the way down to 10th and U. We didn't make it down to 7th and T this week, but it was very effective. We stopped in just a couple of businesses such as Edge's Barbershop to give out some handouts and things of that sort, of that nature. Also, the 13th and T Street Northwest, which had a couple of incidents, public safety incidents within the last couple of weeks. I passed out some of the camera rebate door hangers in that block to persuade some of the neighbors to have take advantage of the private security rebate program that the district is offering. So MPD can hopefully capture some illegal activities or some violent incidents that happen in that area. So I think we have more cameras and more eyes on the street. It might deter some of the crime within that area or some of your prospective SMDs.
Yeah, thank you for handing that out. I actually had that question for MPD. Unfortunately, they're not on, so I need to follow up with them. I think the other thing that could be helpful at some point too is looking at the street lights over there. So I've had several neighbors reach out to me saying that they've had their windshields busted open multiple times in the month. And I hesitate using the argument of, don't leave things in your car because there's only, so many times you can kind of blame the person affected if they're repeatedly getting their windows smashed in. So I think that is a street that definitely probably needs to be looked at a little bit more and something that I'll follow up with MPD on, and I'll loop you into Anthony. But thank you for passing that out. My question, so for vaccination and for testing, Ward 1 doesn't have any vaccination sites. The nearest vaccination site is, I believe, Petworth Library, depending on the day. Are there any plans for Ward 1 to get a vaccination site, especially since there is the vaccine mandate?
I can double check, but I think the Cadoza clinic is a vaccination site, but I can double check on that for you.
Yeah, it might be, but at least what's advertised on the mayor's site every day, it's only the nearest one is Petworth Library, depending on the day.
Are you saying for
I
rapid?
think it's the same.
Are you saying for the rapid
No,
test? Or
no, for vaccination.
Okay.
And I think it might vary every day because sometimes there's pop-up locations, but I think that's the problem is there's pop-up locations, but never a like the same site for Ward 1. But I think the other issue is with testing. So, I give a lot of kudos to the rapid test and the librarians at Mount Pleasant Library. I went there the first day, stood in line for 2 hours. Maybe that was an amateur move now. But very thankful for that. But then I realized there's a lot of neighbors, there's a lot of seniors who live on the complete other side of the ward that can't get to Mount Pleasant Library as easily. And then I also realized that some of the PCR testing sites, Ward 1 only has testing sites on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at Engine 4 and Engine 11. So it's the same kind of issues. So I am wondering, because we are the densest ward,
will we get more testing sites? Will we get a vaccination site to make sure too that we're in compliance with the vaccine mandate, especially since too there's a very active nightlife area here. And I appreciate you relaying that message, Anthony.
Will do. Is that it?
Anthony, I just have a question that you don't have to answer for this committee, but can you touch base with me on what the heck's going on with Charlene's?
Charlene.
I've had a couple of people follow up with me and ask me what's the status of that. I mean, after our last confrontation, I've not heard anything. So I just want to know where we are with that. And
I will follow up with Inez to see where we are. I know he paid a couple of the requirements from DCRA. I'm not sure that he's open and operating, not to my understanding. Is he, or have neighbors complain about him being open?
I don't believe he's open yet, but I'm still getting questions about whether or not he's going to move what he's supposed to move. Is he going to have to move it?
Yeah, right.
The same questions we've been dealing with that we haven't gotten a response from DCRA on yet.
All right. And I know when we had this discussion with him, you and myself, he verbally agreed to, if he needs to move it, he will move it. But I definitely would check with Ms. Inez from DCRA to see where he stands with that.
Okay. Because I like I said, I've already had a couple of people up at that section that have put me on the street and said, what the heck's going on? So I just want to make sure that I have the right answers to give them.
And I walked past there day before yesterday, and I saw some signage from DCRA in the window, in the doorway. I didn't take the opportunity to go up and read and see what it was, but I definitely would reach out to him and to Inez to see.
Okay, well, I'm not taking a chance of walking up because you might chew it.
Oh no, let me take care of that.
Okay, thank you. Office of the Council Member, is Oscar on?
I do not see him.
Office of the Council Chairman, Declan Falls.
I also do not see him.
Commissioner announcements. Are there commissioner announcements? Community announcements? Please raise your hand and we'll bring you forward.
I know that Howard University had requested time to present something. I don't know if Mr. Clorberg can, sorry. Are you still hoping to present, or if not, that's fine.
I don't see any hands up.
Great, we can relay. Dr. Leonard, if you'd like to speak.
Excuse me. Alfred should be speaking on behalf of Howard regarding the steam plant. Alfred, are you still here?
Oh, yes, I am.
Very good.
Can you hear me, please?
I can.
Oh, okay. Yes, my name is Alfred Ajiwe, and representing Howard to brief the ANC on some activities that are planned for the next couple of weeks around the steam plant that's currently under construction. There will be crane operations on the 15th of January, which will be an all-day activities. And the portion of the campus that will be affected actually will be on Bryant Street only, between the intersections of Bryant and Georgia Avenue and Bryant and 6th. The contractors will be lifting a gas combustion turbine into the plant. We are setting aside January 16th for any overflow of activities. But currently, the plan is to be able to wrap up the work just on that Saturday. And once again, the section of Bryan Street that will be affected traffic-wise will be restricted to between Georgia Avenue and 6th Street. And currently, DCRA and DDOT actually have permitted the work activities to happen along that stretch. And then we also like to inform the ANC that there will be another crane lift on the 22nd. And on both days, January 15th and 22nd, is just to be able to lift some heavy equipment that will be arriving the job site. So that will be another crane activity on the 22nd. Other crane activities related to the project, we're going to come back to debrief the ANC in subsequent months. But these are the two activities that will happen between this meeting and the next meeting. So we want to take this opportunity to be able to keep the ANC informed on the progress of the construction of the new plant.
This information was provided to the ZPD on December 23rd as well. The recommendation out of the ZPD was that we come to this meeting and provide additional information to the full board.
Thank you for bringing the update forward.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any other announcements? Having none, we will adjourn our meeting, and Happy New Year, everyone, and see you in February. Good night.
Bye.
Hi, everyone.
Good night,
Hey.
everyone.
See you.